Alright, I'm here to give you my last Walking Dead review of the day. This one is called A. It's Season 4, Episode 6. This is actually the last episode of the season. This is the end of Season 4. And it came out on March 3rd, 2014. Now this, I want to talk about the season first. This season, I thought was good. There was some good stuff in it, but I liked Season 3 better. Just because it felt like more stuff was going down. It was just really intense. I thought Season 3 was a little bit more intense. But there was stuff about Season 4 I liked. I liked how Rick didn't become the leader. He became a farmer and he started just farming. I liked the stuff that happened with Carol, sort of. How they had that illness going around and Carol killed Tyrese's girlfriend and David. And I liked the stuff that happened with... what else happened? A lot happened this season. So that illness was a lot. They had that new illness where people got the flu and people just kept getting it. And I liked how Herschel was the big hero. He was the one that was conquering everything. And Carol ended up getting ownership of Lizzie and Mika, which that got weird. And then I liked the stuff that... And then the governor returned, Philip. He came back. And... you know, they continued the war that they had from Season 3, and we got to see what he was doing. Well, after everything, he burned down Woodbury. We got to meet some new characters. There was a lot of filler characters this season. And we got that big war with him and them and the governor. That was awesome. Unfortunately, we lost Herschel as a character, which sucked. I wish... Herschel was still there because I really liked Herschel. And what else? We got to find out a lot about Michonne, how she had a child. He... Well, I'm going to tell you more because we find out... Well, we know he dies, but we get to find out how he dies in this episode. What else was good in this season? When Carl was in it a lot more this season. Rick finally... said he was a man, and him, Michonne, and Rick are all coming together, and we got to see everyone's separate journeys since the prison got destroyed. They had to leave the prison, and it showed Rick, Carl, and Michonne. It showed Glenn's journey because him and Maggie got separated, so he was trying to find Maggie, and we got to see Taylor. This was just some good stuff this season. If you haven't seen this season, you should definitely check it out. The stuff I didn't like, though, was Beth in this season. Like, it seemed like that she was really annoying in this season. So let's get into it. So it starts out with a flashback. It shows Maggie, Rick, and Glenn coming back from a run. And Rick starts killing zombies, and then we see in the present time, he's all shaken up like something's happened. We're going to find out what happens. And then it cuts to the theme song. And what happens next is Rick... what happens with Rick? Rick, Michonne, and Carl are walking, and he teaches Carl how to hunt, because now they have a fire and they're talking about how hungry they are, and they grab the squirrel and he teaches them how there was like this tie knot that the squirrel followed the tracks and then he got tied to it, so he teaches him about that. Then he hears someone calling for help, and Carl immediately rushes over there, but Rick didn't want him to help, and then this guy gets swarmed with walkers. And Rick has to hold Carl back, and the guy gets eaten. And then so the walkers find them, and Rick starts beating him with his gun, and then it cuts to a flashback. This was weird. Herschel comes up to Rick and says he needs his help with something. He asks what time it is, and Herschel's like, I don't have my watch, so I don't keep a track of time anymore. So we're going to find out more happens with this. So then they continue to kill the walkers, and they successfully do so. And then back at at night, they're settling in at camp, and they're talking about how buddies are small, and they were talking about all the food, and that you forget how much to talk about it. And Michonne's like, yeah, I wish I could forget about it some more. And then we see a guy point a gun at him, and it was the leader of this group that Dale was in. And we find out that the people that came to that house, that the guy that Rick killed, he was with this group, and I thought it was interesting. And he points a gun to his head, and then he shoots, and then the other one, and then another guy aims a gun at Michonne, and then there's a guy watching Carl in the car, and he says that he's going to kill Rick and all that stuff because of what he did to my men. And Dale says, call him off. He says he's a good person. You don't need to do this. And the guy's like, if he's such a good guy, why did he kill my men? And he says that he lied. So he beats up Dale, and he says that he's gonna beat Dale to death, then he's gonna take down Michonne, then Carl, but eventually when Rick sees Carl is kind of getting beaten, he fights back, and the gun goes off, so I think that affected his ears. And the guy starts beating the crap out of him. And then the guy's like, "What do you got? What do you got?" And then Rick bites the guy's skin off. I thought that was really awesome. He bites it off, and then what else happens? Michonne, I think, kills the other guy, and then Dale kills the other two guys. He stomps one of their heads in, and then eventually the guy that was attacking Carl, Rick kills him and stabs him repeatedly. And I thought that was awesome stuff. I think Carl didn't like it, though. He thought that was a little too far. Then what happens next is they cut to another flashback. And Herschel says we can domesticate some animals, and we can make a farm and start growing crops like we want to. But Rick's like, I can't do this. They need me. I'm the leader. They need me to go on runs and stuff like that. And he's like, yeah. And then he's like, yeah, but think about Carl. He may know how to fire a gun, but does he know, but what's his life going to be like? And he's like, well, life out there is different than in here. And he even talked about how that he had that war going on with Philip. And he's like, and Rick doesn't think it's over. So, we find out what happens with this. So then Dale apologizes to Rick, saying that he knew these people were bad, but he didn't think they were this bad. And he talked about how he was looking for these people, and he didn't know it was them. And Rick, I guess, forgives him because he's back now, and he says that Dale was like a brother to him. And he asks Michonne if he's okay, and he says he's okay. And then they go into that town that's called again. Oh yeah, he also told him that him and Beth were together. I just need to remember what the name of this town is. That's all I'm doing. Terminus. They're about to get there, but they want to watch and see if there's anything suspicious going on there. And they're all gonna split up, and Rick asks Carl, "You want to stick with me?" And Carl's like, "No, I'm good." And Michonne gets suspicious about it, and she asks why he didn't want to stick with his dad, and he's like, "I don't know." And she tells the story about how her son died, and we find out that while she was out on a run, her boyfriend Mike and her brother got high, and they became walkers. They got bit, and he let them turn because she felt like she deserved it, and she she cut off their mouth. She ripped out their teeth. Cut off their fingers so they couldn't scratch or bite. And he said that she was just like one of these monsters. And she also said that that Andrea, Carl, and Rick brought her back to normal. And Carl says that Rick thinks he's all good, that he's good, but I'm not really as good as he says I am. I'm just as much of a monster too. And then afterwards they comfort each other. And then Rick buries the gun bag. It was actually get Glenn's riot bag and the orange backpack that he took from the hitchhiker, which I thought was awesome that they brought that back. And it's just in case. So then they climb over the fence and they go into into Terminus. I think that's what it's called. And we hear someone announcing over the radio, which what reminded me of when which is probably what Daryl, Tyrese, Bob, and Michonne heard when they were driving to go to get the supplies for the medicine for when they had the an illness going on. And they find out that, and they find this place, and they meet a guy. His name was what was his name? I don't even remember his name. Gareth. And he tells them about this place, how it's safe, it's a sanctuary, everybody's safe here, and they make them drop their weapons and check them for weapons, and they think it's all safe. It's all fine and good. They finally get to a safe spot. They're happy about it, and then they're getting fed, and then Rick grabs one of the guys, points a gun to his head, and says, "Where did you get this watch?" And it was the watch that he had given the remember that guy that Carol, when him and Carol went out to get one and he banished Carol from the group? Remember that guy? And who had apparently died? And he asked where we got that watch, and he's like, and then he was like, "I don't know. He was just off a dead corpse." Then he asked, like, "Where'd you get that apron? Where'd you get all this stuff?" He's like, "They were off dead corpses of policemen." So then he asked where our people are, and eventually Gareth, I guess, just snaps and says, because he had asked a question, and it says, "You can't. Do you trust us?" So then they start shooting, and Rick, Michonne, Daryl, and Carl take off running. Eventually, they go to a Sector A, and they get out there, and eventually they get trapped. They were gonna go hop over the fence, but the military was out there, and what happens is they pretty much have nowhere to go, so they have to listen. So Gareth makes them drop their weapons, and he orders Rick, who we called the Ringmaster, I think he said, or the Ringleader, and then the Archer, that's what he called Daryl, and Michonne, who she called the Samurai, to go to like this truck. What was it called? What was it called? Yeah, and they realized too that they weren't ready to kill them. By a train car, that's what it's called. And if they didn't do what they said, they were gonna kill Carl. And then they all go in, and Carl goes in. I forgot to mention something that happened earlier. Rick came up to Carl and said he needed help with something. In the prison in a flashback. And he went to take his gun, but Rick was like, "You don't need your gun." So then what happens next is the whole group gets reunited, except for Carol, Tyrese, Judith, and that's it. Um, Another thing I liked about this season, by the way, was Lizzie in this season, how she just pretty much was unstable. And it cuts to another flashback, and it shows Rick, Carl, and Herschel Fallman. And Herschel still had his crutches too throughout this. He didn't have his fake leg yet. And he's teaching Carl how to use the shovel. And he dropped his sheriff's hat. He's like, "We're gonna need your Fallman hat." And he puts it on Beth, and she actually looked pretty good with it on. And Rick says these people made a mistake screwing with us. So then it feels like, yeah, she said they're screwing with the wrong people. Because this is the exact quote. They're going to feel pretty stupid when they find out they're screwing with the wrong people. That's exactly what he said. So, that town, Tenmerix, I think it's called. I can't pronounce it. Terminus. When I heard about this town, I just knew that this town was not as good as they said it was. I knew it. I don't know why. I just had that feeling that this town was going to be like Woodbury. And yeah. So I don't really know what's going on with this. I don't know who like the leader of it is. This town's pretty much been standing up since it started. So I don't think it's going to be as bad as Woodbury was because the governor was, out of his mind. But we'll see what happens. That's the end of season 4. I thought it was a good ending to the season. I wasn't shocked though that Tenmerus, or whatever it's called, ended up being the way it was. It was just, I wasn't shocked, but I thought it was good stuff. Now there's a problem though. I'm up to season 5 now, and I can't watch season 5. It's not on Netflix, and the first 2 episodes are off on demand, so I can't find it there either. And I'm going to see if I can try to find the first 2 episodes, because I can pretty much watch 3 and 4 off the on demand. And I will find it. And I'm gonna just catch up on The Walking Dead. I should be caught up soon, and I should be able to watch it live by the time the second part of season 5 comes out. But this was a great season, and since yeah, but I will find The Walking Dead. I will more, but I'll be back to give you another video some other time.